Morning.
Good morning, everybody. Just working on a few things here with Christine, and we'll be getting ready to get started.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning,
Good
Christine.
morning.
Morning, Christine.
Good morning. We had lots of
Good morning.
emails, so I had to figure out the right one. Do we have everyone here, Dora?
We're working on just getting Betty in real fast, and then we should be good to go. Bob just RSVP'd, so he might be popping in here too. But he RSVP'd for the executive, so I'm just giving him a minute to figure it out as well, and then we'll be good to go.
Perfect. All right. So you started the recording, it sounds like. I think we have a quorum, so I'll just go ahead and get started, if that's okay with everyone.
There's Bob.
Hello.
Good morning, Bob.
Good morning.
Okay, so you help Betty out, and I'll just go ahead and get started, okay?
Sure.
All right. Good morning, everyone. It is Friday, July 24th, 9:32 a.m., and I'm going to call this public meeting to order. And if I could get a motion for the approval of the agenda of the 6/26/26 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
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 Okay. It passes. All right. And then second on our agenda is our director's report. Doug?
All right. Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, guys, give me 1 second here. Betty just sent me another email. I'm sorry, and then I'll get his report started up.
Mm-hmm.
Christine, I thought you might be wearing a little pirate attire for this meeting.
I gotta tell you, I start feeling like a pirate here starting about this week. And they told me last year, by the way, it's the funniest thing. It's a real family, all the pirates. And half of them are actually real pirates. And then the other half are some that are from Disney and actors and such. So they welcomed me to their family last year. And I was like, well, I think that's kind of pretty special.
That is
So I'm very proud of
awesome.
that.
Did you
Oh,
all
and
sit
Heather,
around and
Heather
did you
did
all
a go
have
ahead.
Arby's for dinner?
Arr. That was good. Y'all, I can't wait to share if it's already gone out. I don't even know, but I'm doing some fundraising, and Heather worked on something really cool to send out, and I'm super excited about that. Thank you so much for that hard work.
Oh, you're welcome. I'll be posting that here this morning.
Oh, awesome. Everyone take a look at that.
So far, every idea that we've thrown at Heather, she makes it really cool when we're done. I'm like, hey, this would be a great idea. And then she's like, what about this? I'm like, oh, that's way better.
Yeah.
Thank
Got a
you.
good track record so far.
Yep. Taking it and running with it. That's what I like the most.
Awesome. All right, we'll go ahead and share this, and I'll get Betty on here as soon as I can. Oh, she's under participants. Let's see if we can grab her. There she is. All righty.
Dora?
You're here. We hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, listen, can you send me the proper board link to my Gmail address?
I can work on that. Just give me 1 second.
What happened
here.
was it came in, I don't have the Microsoft here on my iPad. So I need to send it over to my regular email
Yeah.
to open it. And it wouldn't
Okay.
let me forward, the address.
All right, let's see if I can get that for you. Yeah, I have your board emails for all of the panelist emails. So let's see if I can just pop you in here on this. There, it should have sent one over to you.
Okay, I'm gonna leave this meeting and pop that other one in.
Betty,
All right, sounds good.
are you okay with Doug starting his director's report?
I think she already left.
Okay. I think she would be.
All right, well, then we're going to go with that. All righty. Can you all see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
All right.
All right. We're going to keep this short and sweet. So you guys stop me if you need to. I know we've got a lot in executive session, but got a few things here we did want to cover real quick. We were feeling the 4th of July vibe, so we switched it up a little bit for this presentation, but let's dive right in. All right, so this for the public session, we've got a staff intro that we want to do. We're going to touch on some mid-year reviews. We've got our KPIs for the ARC group again. Monthly financial update. Leanne is actually she's been out with some shoulder surgery, so I'll cover that for her. And then we in finance committee I did develop a investment model for those folks, so we had some good conversation on that in finance committee. And next one. Next one.
She's probably letting Betty in.
I don't know whose dog that is, by the way. Hopefully we got a release on that.
That could be one of 100 dogs on this island. Super cute though, for sure.
There were lots of cute dogs in the parade.
Yeah. Someone asked me one day on the ferry on the ride over, someone just coming a day tripper and said, "Is this like Dog Island or is there a special dog show going on?" And I'm like, "No, I guess Dog Island, we have a lot of dogs here. It's a dog friendly island."
Not behaving. Okay.
All right. You back?
I'm trying. I can hear you guys, so that's a plus. The whole thing just froze on me. Ah. Minor difficulties here.
It's like your mouse can't find its correct position.
I'm just happy I can hear you guys. It was just making a really loud screaming noise at me 5 seconds ago.
Oh,
All
goodness.
right, there we go. Okay. It's now behaving. Can everybody see the next slide?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys.
So without further ado, we'll introduce the new face on the screen here, which is Heather Harmon.
Hi.
Hey,
And,
Heather.
morning. So Heather joined our team. We were looking to introduce her last go round, but here she is today. So Dora and I are very excited. We have been fighting over her time, and we've already seen some good things that have come out from Heather. So we're very happy to have her join the team. And Heather, I'll let you say a couple words about your background if you want, or just in
Yeah,
general.
well, first of all, I'm very happy to be here. I love working on the island. I keep telling everybody, I said, I feel like I'm working on Fantasy Island. Obviously, this past week has had some unusual issues getting to work, but it's been all good. I actually enjoy the ferry ride. I'm sure some people will be like, oh, you're crazy, but I'm a boater. I love boating. I love being on the water. So it's just, a relaxing commute. Drive's not too bad. And I'm enjoying digging in and learning about the association and getting the word out there. And I have lots of ideas that I'm going to be bringing to the table, and I'm just loving it so far.
No, we thank you. We're enjoying you as well. And you can throw my name in that bucket of really happy with some of, you're just bringing your A game and upping our social media presence already. And that's been something I've been begging for a long time. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes, so we are careful not to burn her out too quick with all the laundry list of things that we want her to be working on. But Heather's focus is really diving into the new or to the Salt and Oaks, which hopefully you guys have seen the digital version of that, and the hard copies should be here shortly. I think it's one of our better issues, and Heather has the technical capabilities, I think, we're going to work on phasing out our consultant that we've been using over time. So we're taking some baby steps, and I know that she was working closely with her on this last issue. So that's a good thing. And then you'll probably see a lot more activity in our social media platform. So we are trying
Definitely.
to ramp that up. And Heather's got a great artistic eye for the photography side of things too. So lots of interesting, fun stuff coming, I think, with the team. So just stay tuned for that. And we welcome Heather to the team for sure.
Glad to
Thank
have
you.
you, Heather.
Thanks,
Thank
Heather.
you. Glad to be here.
Yeah. And
All
if this
right.
past week's boat rides didn't scare you off, I think we'll keep you for a while then.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, next slide. All right, so we may have forgotten about this, but we haven't on the staff side. It's been a while since we've seen these little review forms. This was introduced last year. I don't think Bob was here for that, but what we did last year, Bob, is we didn't really have a measurable way of looking at the merit side and of the reviews for staff, and there wasn't, in my opinion, a great matrix on how, people were being reviewed at the end of the year. How do we quantify that? And so we instituted a type of a SMART goal program last year. So we created goals kind of stemming off of board initiatives, then to my level, created some goals for our entire team on the staff level. And then from that level, we then did a deeper dive on individual staff members for their goals that rolled all the way back up. And so we gave everybody 4 goals, and we've got the core responsibilities, and we're using a template form, which is what we're showing here. We were a little late in the game this year just due to, Vanica transition of getting the goals rolled out amongst the staff. So for the mid-year, we really just did a check-in to see, hey, how we going? It wasn't an official review per se, but at the end of the year, we will be doing that. So we typically do these in November timeframe, and so it's very specific goals with targeted completion timelines attached to an overall overreaching goal. And then there's a rating system, obviously. So we rate from 1 to 5, and and then there's a comment section. If Dora or I feel like we've got some areas that we need to work on, we also give this to each person ahead of time so that they can fill in the comment section. If they have feedback where they feel like they need help or we're falling short or whatever, we certainly give them the opportunity to bring that into the review meetings. So I just wanted to remind everybody that is still in play, and we're still utilizing those forms. All right, next slide. And we have our famous ARCS middle form that we are implemented last meeting, and we're continuing on with that. So you can see how busy our 3 folks are upstairs. Over 702 comments thus far this year on 168 submittals. So that is a lot of work. And so you can see the breakdown as well on the types of reviews. Not quite half of those are minors, but certainly major drafts and preliminaries or new construction. And this just paints a picture for what we're doing there. One of the things that sort of popped out at me, and I think is worth noting, is we do have slightly a higher percentage of approvals happening in the A committee versus the B committee. And that has a lot to do with the complexity of the B zone, with the more detailed covenants and just the extra layer of things that folks have to do and comply with. So that is why you're seeing a slight difference there. Any questions on this?
What's the chart at the bottom left?
Oh, so the chart. Oh, good. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Dor.
So the chart at the bottom left is just kind of pointing out where along the lines the submittals have been coming in. So you're going to see a drop in the July because when we were reporting this to you, we're always getting our stuff at the end of June, beginning of the end of the month, beginning of the next month. So you're always going to see a little bit of a drop, and that's just because you're not seeing B's July stuff yet because B's July stuff just happened. So therefore, the committee hasn't gotten their minutes back yet. They haven't been approved, and those letters haven't been sent out. So
Oh,
you're always
so the y-axis is just volume.
yeah, it's just showing a volume. And like I said, it's always a little off for the last month you're staring at because that last month generally only has A as a full submission to look at, whereas B's section, they have a meeting the week before we have a meeting. So most of the time their stuff isn't necessarily put into the chart yet for approvals, not approvals, that kind of thing.
Okay, it still doesn't make sense to me because if I look at July on the monthly submittals by section, it looks like 20, a little under 20, but then it says 50 on the line graph below.
Um,
Yeah, Dora, sorry to pile on, but the numbers don't add up to any other reported number. So obviously it's a much greater number than total submittals, but it's a much smaller number than 702 for review comments.
no, I see what you're talking about. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about the fact that it dropped down so far. Um, Let me look that up and pull a revision after the meeting. I'm not sure why it popped up that way. I will give you guys a revision after the meeting, and we can post that also on
Yeah, let's just
online.
label the X and Y
Yeah.
so we know what it is. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry,
I
I
know
was
this
looking
is-
at the one above it. I'm like, well, the reason there's no B's, but no, I see which one you're talking. Okay. Yeah. I will send you guys an auto correction. I'm not sure why it popped up with the numbers like that. Okay. Yes, I will fix that.
Great. Next slide. Monthly financials. Well, why don't we just cover the summary sheet? If anybody wants to do a deeper dive, we can do that.
Sure. Let me grab that up real fast. Sorry, guys, my computer keeps freezing. It's like it knows it's the only way we can work today. All right,
Well, you've got us all connected, and then you probably have several windows open. And
I do. Usually it's fine, but normally today it's just going to be a little bit more finicky. Can you all see that?
yes,
Okay.
All right. So I think we're doing fine on the financial side. We do still have some outstanding assessments, around 42,000, which is down from 60,000 the prior months. I will say that we're creeping up on the line where in the finance policy we need to start taking some action with those folks. So you will be seeing an email from me. I want to quantify the list of folks offline that are on that delinquency list, and then we're going to start making some decisions on how we approach that. Last year, we started the collection process with an official letter, and that will be the same this year. I would say that we have been very lenient, given we went through the Vanica transition at the beginning of the year. We extended the deadline slightly from the March 15th on the late fees. So we have been lenient. We have gone, I would say, overboard with calls and dividing the list, and which can be seen in the drop in the number of delinquencies from the last few months, where
Mhm.
Dora and Diane basically went down the entire list and made phone calls. We've sent letters out. We've done a lot of noticing. So I feel like, from the association standpoint, we've done a pretty good job, even with the transition of reaching out to folks. So, once we hit this 90-day window, which we have, then, it's time to start taking some additional steps. So you'll see something from me on that probably in the next week or two.
Okay.
Hey, Doug,
Um,
will you share, please, the kind of the quick recap of what you told the finance committee the other day about that point? I mean, we're not just sending out a collection letter that says, please send us money. It's more like, if you don't send money now, we're going to take legal action.
It is. So the process that we investigated last year, and I think Vicky was a big part of that, if I'm not mistaken, and as far as the policy goes, was trying to fit. We inserted a chunk in the finance policy. Um, what we determined with our attorney is that the lien process can get strung out over time, and it's not as reliable as a personal judgment. And
Mhm.
so the idea was, when we have some folks that are some real problem childs, we will use the attorney to press with a legal process of a personal judgment against that and file that route rather than the lien route. And we've had more success with that because that then ties up their other real estate holdings potentially,
Hmm.
and that gets their attention very quickly. So um, so I think it worked well last year. We only had 2 to 3 that were real problems last year and had some history. I call them the legacy childs, but everyone else, once they got that first letter, it was, it wrapped up within a 30 to 45 day window. We had probably 90 to 95% of the responses in. And then we had the lingering ones that we continued on with the process. So I would expect that, of these last, call it 99, 100 folks, we'll get the bulk of that in with this first round of letters. Okay.
Yep, that sounds good.
Doug,
All right.
are these letters that you're talking about, there's still letters coming from the VHA. We're not engaging counsel for those at this point.
We're not, but we use a template form that came from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we discuss or just put a pin in this to discuss in some more detail in executive?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. All right. So amenities, we're running around budget on the revenue side. Like I said, we've got 99 out there that we're still chasing down. Some of the neighborhoods have 1 or 2 left that we're chasing down. Our ARC fees are running ahead of budgeted. These are just some of the highlights. Communications and marketing, our advertising dollars are running higher than budget. Amenities, our rental income from renting our meeting space is slightly below budgeted. On the expense side, our overhead and related is running under budget due to some unfilled positions. We are running slightly over on some some computer expenses, in that we are continuing to cover Enumerate for a little longer than we expected, and I'll touch on that here after we talk about the financials. We have what appears to be a little bit of an overage in one of the committees. However, that is, it takes a village, and the revenue side offsets that with a different line item. And our total expenses continue to track below income on the communications and marketing. Anything else down
Doug,
below there? Yes.
Doug,
Mhm.
this is Betty. I just think that clarification needs to be made that the E&R committee is not over budget. That's where you put the expenses for It Takes a Village. And there's plenty of revenue. We actually have a $4,000 overage in terms of excess. We're not over budget. We're actually under budget.
That's correct. Yes, and in talking with the auditor, we felt like, the respective committees that put on the events, or at least the heads of the committees, that are associated with those, would make sense to track the expenses there. And we did create a separate revenue bucket to specifically track donations. So that's how we're managing that, and we have a schedule that explains that, which was recently delivered to everyone involved that made donations, to the event. So I think I received no feedback that there was any lack of clarity with that. So good. All right, next.
All right, let's get back to the presentation here.
All right, Stroud and Company and Ernie are officially on board. Ernie really never left. They were our auditors for last year. They're doing our taxes this year. Stroud is a newbie to the team. They are our new CPA replacement for what was Duncan previously. And Missy with Stroud is our primary contact. She's a partner there. Very happy with those two. We had 2 calls last week and the week before, individual calls, and then we had a joint call with Stroud and Ernie together to make sure that we're getting the year end completed with Stroud. We're getting the tax information rolling with Ernie. And then the 2 of them are working together on the audit process as pieces come together and exchanging information. So Ernie has a great website that we've used in the past. It's a portal, if you will, that information for the audit pieces go into from us and potentially from Stroud. So Stroud has access to that. Ernie has access to that. And we've given both of them access to Enumerate and to Vanica, which the bulk of 2025 is still in Enumerate, which is why we still have that software. So ideally, we'd love to be doing this process more in the beginning of the year, which I think we will be there next year. The transition just put us, behind. And so Missy with Stroud is digging deep on getting this year end wrapped up as quickly as she can, which I would say give her a month and a half to do that. Taxes were extended. We filed an extension, so we're fine there on the tax side. And then audit will be toward the end of the year, unfortunately, just because of everything that we've been trying to accomplish with the software transition. So, but I do feel pretty good about the fact that the 2 are working hard, and we have finally identified a CPA consultant that can help Leanne out and help with the process. Nor let's see if can I share the screen here? I'll take on the investment.
Sure, give me 1 second. Let me just make sure you have permissions real fast. You should be able to share, yeah.
All right, just going here. There we go. All right, so can everybody see this okay?
Yes.
All right, so the finance committee, and I know the board had delivered some goals for finance committee, and they are working very hard to get all that pulled together. And so there's a couple initiatives that are underway right now. One is they're looking at the master reserve annual contribution, which was discussed at length last year on what is that number, what's appropriate, what's the philosophy of that. And so the committee is starting to dig into that a bit and try to understand the best approach to make a recommendation to the board. The other thing that we've talked about in prior meetings that has been a challenge in the past is the tracking and the transparency around the construction deposits. Obviously, the money's is there. It's accounted for. There's no concerns with that whatsoever. However, how we look at that and track that money between, say, upstairs where we have Art receiving checks for deposits, we have accounting and Leanne tracking it downstairs. We have money moving from bank accounts, and then we have the untapped potential at the moment to invest some of that money if you're building a home that takes 2 years to build, right? So with that, we did not have a great mechanism for unifying all those levers, if you will. And so what we did over the last couple months is we fine-tuned our inspection process. So we took a step back and looked at how do we know where the money is at from a status standpoint on the construction deposit side. And from our process, prior to a couple of months ago, the process was from an inspection standpoint, someone brings in a deposit for their construction after they get through the ARC process, toward the end of the ARC process. We go out, our staff goes out and looks at at site clearing stage, and then they go back out and look at piling stage, and then there's a pretty big gap after that we get a phone call once they're done, right? So what we needed help with, on the timing of the investment potential for that dollars was what's happening in between sort of pilings and 2 years later when we go out and look at a final inspection. So we added a couple inspection steps for our team, be it we're calling it roofing and framing inspection and interiors inspection. That gave us a middle ground within the construction process timeline to identify what is typical on the island. Most of the homes on the island are in that 4,000 square footish range. Of that size home, you can expect a 6 to 12 month period after that you see the framing and the roof go on to wrap up that home. Interiors, when you see the drywall go in, you're at a 6 month to 8 month period. So that gives us a window. It's not exact, but it's good enough for investment standpoint to look at those things from a timing standpoint. So what we did is we went out and visually took the list of approximately 70 different inspections. I think there's names on this inspections tab, so I won't pull that up during this session, but there is an inspections tab here that lists for this model all of the deposits that total up to 705,000, which is this construction deposits. And I'll blow this up real quick just so some of us can see that. There we go. All right, so this portion of the screen, construction deposits by status. We took the 70-ish deposits, we drove around with the staff, got a current status report on them, and we created a status category for each construction deposit. And that lumps them into either they haven't started, they're in the piling stage, they're in the framing or roofing stage, they're in the interior stage, and final inspections. That gives us a category to drop this money into. So if you look at the not started, the pilings, and the framing, that's about a 12-month window that we have approximately, what is that, 360,000 of the 700,000 that we can invest for 12 months. So that's the exercise that we did sort of behind the scenes with this model to give our finance committee a picture in real time of we've got about half of those dollars that we are holding in construction deposits that we could invest for 12 months. Layer onto that process with this model, which we discussed fairly lengthy last year, was the reserve bucket of money that we can invest and make some interest carry off of. And so that process, I'll have to zoom out slightly. That process shows a couple levers, if you will, to run the model. We have an annual interest rate that we plug in. We have a cost escalator on all the costs associated with all of the widgets over here on the, and this is just a quick snapshot of, and a reminder that we have a complete asset list of every asset that the association owns, everything from HVAC units in the building and so on to boardwalks. We have a time frame of a 30-year window out here where they have replacement timelines, so end of life for each one of these assets. For example, this particular asset of HVAC unit is expected to die in 2027. It's highlighted in yellow. Its value is $8,000. Those all add up to an annual cost that we can project out over 30 years. And then the model, jumping back, uses these cost escalators and a starting balance and an annual contribution value to make sure that we maintain enough money in our bank account to cover those costs over the 30-year threshold. So this model basically takes all of those factors, rolls them into a workable model that the finance committee can now use to layer the money together, if you will, from just an investment viewpoint. And so this is just a new tool that we've got that I developed a couple weeks ago, and I think this will help our folks, come up with a philosophy on how to manage the reserve approach on an annual contribution basis, and also look at our investment policy, or craft our investment policy for moving forward. We could do a lot deeper dive on this, but I think I'll stop there. Does anybody have any questions on this? Comments?
Doug, I think this model is excellent, and something we've needed for a while to kind of understand the puts and takes associated with these investment decisions. I am wondering, from just a matter of management and process, for how and who determines. So, for example, if you look at 2027 and the reserve activities that are expected to happen, who pulls the trigger on those? Is that you? Do you look at everything that happens in 2020, is supposed to happen in 2027, and say, we're going to do, A, B, and C? And how do you, from a process perspective, authorize that work to be done?
Yeah, so good question. So during the budgeting process last year, what we did is we did a 3-year look ahead. So once we get into, and it's coming up, once we get into, August, September timeframe, we'll take this spreadsheet, we'll copy 27, 20, well, actually 26 as well, 26, 27, 28, and maybe 29. We go out into the field with these lists of yellow highlighted items. For example, community garden chain link fence is on here for 29. And we'll look at these highlighted items and just make a judgment call based on the yellow, the yellow categories of where they are today is the reserve consultant's recommendation. So that's how this initially came together. I will go out and look at, the next 3 years of what they've identified as replacements and put my own opinion on it. And then that 3-year look ahead is what I call it, will end up in a board meeting, and part of that budget review process for discussion's sake. Some of those things we may push out, some things we may pull forward. I've got a neighborhood right now that I walked with a neighborhood representative, one of the drip lines that, we're looking at some things out there that, we may pull some things forward, and that's a discussion with that neighborhood at the moment on what does that plan look like. So, it is happening kind of now as well with certain circumstances, but that's the process, is to get it in the budget review process, have an opinion on it from me, have board review it. I think it actually started with finance, went through finance committee first, and then it went to board, so that they could get a look-see on it. So that I would like to do that process again this year.
Thank you.
All right. Dora, I think.
Just, sorry, what are the, if you're proposing to put this into some type of interest-bearing account, can you just elaborate a little bit on what type of investment vehicles you'll be using for that to ensure the protection of the principal?
Yeah, that's being debated right now at finance. Currently, of that 598,000 you're seeing on the screen, we have a current investment account with Dora, I'm drawing a blank.
Vanguard?
Vanguard, thank you. Vanguard is managing that for us. I think the approach on how they're managing it is definitely needs to be up for discussion. It is low risk. Certainly it is low risk investment approach. I think it's really just a money market at the moment. So the philosophy on how much risk and what is that approach is being dialed in at the finance committee level. Bob, if you want to chime in on this, feel free. We just had discussion on this week, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, just quickly, I think we need to discuss it a little bit further before we come to a final decision. But my read of the discussion we had this week is there's not really any appetite for taking any credit risk. And I think that's appropriate for the type of organization this is. I think the work that Doug and Dora are doing on understanding the state of the different construction project deposits will help us better optimize the time or duration of the investments we're making. There's probably an opportunity to lengthen some of those without taking any real liquidity risk. So we can probably pick up a little bit more yield that way without taking any credit risks. So I think that's where we're going to land.
Thank you, Bob.
Good.
All right.
All right. And do I have one more slide?
I believe so, but this darn thing froze on me again, so I'm just waiting for it to catch up. Yep, there we go. This is, yeah, this is basically what you were going over, is this last slide
Yeah.
here.
We covered that.
And that's what we got.
All right.
Okay.
And
Thank
we
you, Doug.
do have two members online. If
Okay.
either of the members have any comments.
Okay, at this point, we are moving on to members' comments. Dora's just let us know that we have two members waiting to comment. If they're, did they raise their hands, or are they just listening in?
They're just listening in at the moment, so if either of you would like to make a comment, go ahead and raise your hand and I can get you unmuted.
Let's give that a second.
Alrighty, Flores Buff Kilgary Ridge would like to say something, so I'm gonna let them pop on.
Okay. And any name to go with that?
Oh, we will find out when she pops
Hey.
on here.
Hey, it's Barbara Grant. Can you hear me?
Oh, hey,
Good
Barbara. Good morning.
morning.
Hey, just wanted to tune in and support you guys. Looks like great work. Regarding the ARC, one of our concerns was the delay in getting results after an ARC meeting to the owner. I appreciated the KPIs you shared. Do you have a general feel for what the time frame is for getting results out?
We've got our A and B board liaisons, Vicki Lonker and Derek Crump. Would either of you like to speak on that? I can personally say that the responses have been getting out quicker this past year than they have in the past. I know we try to email people pretty quickly. We've got to wait for notes to get approved by the liaison and the chair. And then for those letters to be formed, they get sent out by email and then also by mail. But Derek and Vicky, you're sitting in those seats a lot more than I am now. So would you, either one of you, like to comment on that?
I don't actually have the statistics from Chris on how long those are getting out. I know we try to approve the minutes within a few days of the meeting. Typically, the meetings are on a Friday and we have them approved by Monday. So, Barbara, I think we need to look into whether there's an issue there and whether this is a trend or just an isolated incident. So I don't know, but we'll check on it.
Okay.
Well, and Barbara, I would agree. This is Derek. This is the first I've heard of that. Can you tell me specifically, you're saying that there's a delay in the ARC decision and then the owner getting a letter saying this is what's approved, this is what's not approved. Is that the problem that you're seeing?
Right. So we have a situation that's happened a couple of times where somebody has we kind of find out late, somebody has a contractor lined up for Tuesday. The board meets on Friday, and I forget if it was like guaranteed a 2-week response or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so if there can just be a quick, yeah, you're approved, go ahead and have your contractor show up on Tuesday. Or, no, you can't cut down that tree, and then they've already shut it down or something, that it's just in our neighborhood anyway, the ability to set up a contractor and get approval, it tends to be less planned than we'd like. And so typically people will just go ahead without knowing if it was approved or not. And a quick yay or nay, either yes, no, or there's issues. Could be a simple email that goes out at the end of the meeting on Friday was what we had discussed.
Those emails cannot go out at the end of the meeting on Friday only because the minutes have to get approved and it has to get spelled out. However, and Dora, you can step in at any point, but I think we're getting things out by Monday.
Minutes are usually approved and out by Monday, and depending on how many items were in that particular meeting, usually by Tuesday or Wednesday, the letters are going out following the Friday meeting. So the staff upstairs have been pretty much moving this as fast as they possibly can. For something as simplistic as a tree, though, we actually have staff that go out, look at the tree, and get you approvals faster because that's actually outside of a meeting versus in the meeting. So there are some things you already know this, Barbara, but there are certain things like paint and the trees and stuff like that within your community that can be escalated to go a little bit faster. It's just the actual your minor applications and your new builds and things of that nature, and your maintenance. Those are things that have to go through the meeting. But the girls are getting them out pretty much within 72 business hours, and that's also going back and forth between a chair and a liaison approving minutes as well.
Yeah, and Barb, I just want to make sure that you may be getting some frustration from homeowners, but unfortunately they got to go through this process. And I can tell you that we get the minutes back usually within 24 hours. They're approved within an hour or two after that, and then Chris is getting the letters out. And I guess you could let folks know that our guidelines provide that we have 45 days to send a decision letter. And we are well within that. So we will certainly bring this up, but if you've got specifics that you think that they're not doing something correctly, we will definitely look into it for you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I think 45 days is unacceptable. It's just not how things move. And so I would challenge that if that's in policy. But and when the minutes go out, who do they go to?
They go to the chairs and they go to the board liaisons.
Okay, so it doesn't make it to the owner.
The owner doesn't approve the minutes.
Right, but I mean, when the minutes are approved, is it something that gets posted that we can have the owner check the website or something?
No, the owner gets a letter as soon as the minutes are approved directly from the ARC, informing them of the decision. And that goes out. I mean, typically, you tell me, Dora, that goes out literally that following week after our meeting on Friday.
Yeah, usually the girls have the letters typed up and for Chris to look over and approve the following day after the minutes have been approved. They go out via postage, but they also go out via email. So the homeowner's getting them as soon as they are approved via email, and then they'll have a physical copy show up in the mail.
Yeah.
Depending on where you're at, for how well the postal service is working, but
Yeah.
that email goes out the same time that they're approved.
Okay. Well, I think this is enough time on that. I know there have been those letters that go into detail sometimes of what the issues were. And that has gone back and forth within your organization to delay those. So, enough said. Appreciate the consideration and your hard work. Thanks.
Thank
you.
you, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Barbara, this is Doug Jones. If you've got specific examples that you're working on, make sure you email me if you've got a concern like that. And we have an internal tracker that is application specific, and it tracks every step that moves through our system from a time standpoint. So I can look up something and look at it and go, okay, it's been in the technical review stage for 3 days. And as well as the letters that go out and the timing of that. So if there is a specific example, just feel free to email me, and I'm happy to give that individual feedback, on where it is and the why.
That's awesome. And before you guys move on, I will just say also we have been on Vantica. We moved over a year and a half ago. And who is your rep? I wonder if we have the same one.
We are currently using a gentleman named Taylor
Okay.
as he's our we're on board implemented rep, and then we also have a specific engineer that's assigned to us at the moment, and his first name is Joshua. I think his last name's Keller. So we technically have 2 right now.
Okay. And also we recently had a resolution to move our reserve funds into a Vantica money market. Same concerns and that you were mentioning in terms of a low risk. And we have a formal resolution to state that we're taking some of this money out of a bank account and investing. So good data, appreciate it, and feel your pain. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara. Have a great
Thank you,
weekend.
Barbara.
Okay, Dora, what about our second caller? Would they like to speak?
David, do you have anything to say? No, I think we're good.
Okay, thank you, Dora. It's nice to have a couple of people listening in. Let's move on to committee reports. So this covers any committee. So if you'd like to, during public session, speak about your committees in any way, ARC or Education and Recreation, anything you've got to cover, Steve, just, speak up.
I'll just say something about it. Education Recreation. We just met this week, actually. Kim and Ann and I, and we have already earlier produced a plan for the second half of the year. We were just finalizing it. We were talking about how to recruit for the upcoming year as well. And I think, Doug, in the task list that we've gone over previously, and I can't remember if we go over that in executive session or here. Are we going to go over that in executive session?
Yes.
Open
I think
items?
that's probably
Yes.
best.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just going to suggest that if the board wants more input into the planning for education and recreation, I think in the November timeframe, we should spend a little bit of time determining what are the objectives that you would like to see met. If it's something other than what we've been doing, so that when the actual planning starts, we know where we're at. We have an item on that task list that's dated November 2025. That's over and done with. Nothing's going to happen on it this year, but I think for next year, we want your input. So that's it. And we will be starting up again in September.
Excellent.
I dare not try to wear Heather out too soon, but part of her role is supporting the committees, and so that is a new tool that we have. So that's just another factor that we can talk about to help. So
Right. And Heather, we will add you into what we publish to the rest of the committee in terms of schedule for the balance of the year and assignments.
I was to say her email's just like the rest of ours. It's just Heather@Baldhead Association. So
Okay. I'll let everybody know.
she'll be happy to receive those. She's been doing an absolutely awesome job with her networking. So we're very happy and excited with her.
We are. She's going to get tired of hearing us say that. Okay. Steve, do you have anything on your end?
I don't.
Okay. All right. Anything from Derek or Vicky with ARC? I know we're going to talk a lot in executive.
Actually, let me back that up. So one of the things that LRP is obviously monitoring closely is the status of what's going on with the ferry sale, and there has not been any public information that has been released by transportation or the Transportation Authority since the open forum occurred at the BHA Association, I think in May. So I think that's worthy of noting to the membership that that no information has been forthcoming.
Yeah. I think their next meeting, that's going to be addressed, if I remember correctly reading that. So I know I'm going to try to go to the village meeting. Okay, very good. Vicky, Derek, anything on ARC?
No, we're just going to discuss the revisions later on in the executive session.
Executive.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. Bob, anything on your plate?
I think Doug recapped that situation pretty well. I mean, the most important things that group was working on were the finalization of the CPA, the work around the deposits and the investing, and then ultimately the work around, and it's also probably pretty close to the point of having a recommendation around the long-term funding of the reserve account.
And I heard you had an excellent meeting, so thank all you guys for that. You've got a great team. So that is that. And then next, if no one has anything else on that, I'm going to move to, I don't really have much of a report. Doug has pretty much stole my thunder every month. He talks about everything. I can talk a little bit about, our leadership meetings. We're in the height of summer right now. So we have not met this month. David Sawyer with the Bald Head Island Club is hosting our next meeting. Doug and I are making a list of everything we would like to address. And, I have found that just when all of us get into a room and talk things out, we end up coming to some pretty good solutions or have some pretty good ideas. And I don't really want to talk a lot in public session about a couple of the things Doug and I would like to talk about, but I think we have a lot to bring to the table. I also want to just reiterate, like I said, Heather's going to be tired of this, but if you all are paying attention, we just continually step up our game. Salt and Oaks, every single month, I keep them on my coffee table, are continually looking better and better. The content is exceptionally well written and just tends to get better and better. The pictures, this month, I cannot wait till everybody gets it. Heather just coming into the job and learning a little bit about what we do and then upping that game. I already talked about social media. I'm finding updates and posts about every day. So she's got her finger on the pulse of Bald Head already with the help of all our team members. So I think that's pretty great. Go ahead, Ben.
Christine, could I make a comment about that? And
Yes.
Heather's role?
Please.
I think in our most recent set of circumstances and the drama of the ferry disruption and the post office and all that, it just seems to me that the village really doesn't understand the need for residents to get communication, to get their issues about what needs to be addressed. And to the extent that we as the homeowners association can help advise the village when they need to open up and communicate, I think it would be a help. It's a little bit like it doesn't dawn on them for some reason.
Betty,
I don't know what.
Betty,
But I really
we're
think we
trying.
could play a role in that.
We are trying. That's one of the things I said when we get to our executive session. We'll speak further into that. But I can assure you that Doug and I are on the phone every day, texting, calling multiple times a day, doing our absolute best we can do, reaching out. And let's talk about this in executive session.
Okay.
But thank you for mentioning that. Kudos to you for mentioning that. So really, that's all I have. Do any of you have any questions for me? I mean, Doug just covers everything. So it really, like I said, steals my thunder a little bit, but that's okay with me.
I would like to commend Doug, Dora, Heather, and the team for getting out two good compass alerts this week, updating on the status of the ferry and what was going on there. I think that was very good and timely information.
Yep.
So, thank you.
Thank you for saying that, Steve. And I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah,
Okay. Go ahead.
To Betty's point, I'm sorry, Christy.
No, please go, Doug.
Yeah, to Betty's point, since we're in the public session, Chris McCall with the town and I do communicate. I'll call Chris when situations like these occur. So there is an open line of communication, and my philosophy is we'll lead by example. So if we have an opportunity to put a communication out that helps support that situation, we will do that, which is what we did this week. And with Heather joining the team, that becomes that much easier for us to get those things out. So we'll do more of that. And, if we can help the village in situations, we will do that.
And that was great to add, Doug. I mean, I guess I can just say this one thing. It is not possible for us to put something out unless we can factually back it up. So our hands are tied somewhat, but I can assure every one of our members, we do our absolute best and are trying for everyone, every member. So, okay. With that being said, Dora, do we have any other members that have popped in?
We have not.
Okay. All right. Well, then it is, unless anybody has anything else for the public session, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn. Okay. It's 9:34, Friday, July 24th, and I call this meeting public session adjourned. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, let's take just a few minutes. Is that okay? Go get your fresh cup of coffee, tea, water, whatever, stretch your legs, and then come back. And Dory, can we just make sure everyone has that executive link? Fresh.
Yeah, it should be on your agenda. It's also on your invite. I'll shoot out a mass email for you guys though, just so you have it in the
Okay.
top of your
Yeah.
inbox.
Thanks.
Yes.
Send it to
Dora,
your Gmail.
The trouble that I've been having is I used your email that had the packets, and it didn't work.
Well,
I
the
couldn't
email
get in.
the email that's on the packet, it's a copy of the agenda, and that's a public agenda that gets posted online. So that's like that's the one that everyone member wise uses. The only difference is that right now you guys are on what we call panelists, which means your video pops up so it's a different link for you guys. It gets sent out the night before the meeting every month. It just comes from Zoom versus coming from me.
So can you just resend that
Yeah.
That's
for
what
the
she said.
executive session?
I did, yeah.
And use my Gmail account?
Yeah, I can send it to your Gmail.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
so just a few minutes, if that's okay, and we'll pop back in. Dora will send that link.
Yep. All right,
Okay.
see you guys.
Thanks, everyone.